Well, the shed is coming along. You can see we painted it since last time. I still haven't built the doors yet, but today what we're talking about is to make it more usable, we put some electric in it. Now in this video, I'm gonna show you how I did all the wiring of the switch, the outlets, the lights, and all the way back to the original power source. I am gonna go into a lot of detail. If it's more detail than you need, just skip ahead. I'll put chapter marks in the video description below. Okay, my power comes in from between the two walls. I notched it so that it wouldn't be pinched by the other wall when I put it in. And this is what's known as UF, underground feed. This is the cable that can go underground. So this cable actually was trenched all the way over to there where there's a GFCI outlet. And putting this trench in was a bear, and I don't recommend it. Let me clarify that. It's not that I don't recommend trenching a wire, but I don't recommend using a trencher. It was a butt kicking, number one. Number two, I cut all kinds of stuff between here and there. My sprinkler lines, my sprinkler electric wires, my fiber optic internet service. Luckily, I wasn't using that one at the time. So there's just a bunch of reasons why I would recommend hand digging, even if it doesn't go down the foot that it's supposed to. I don't care. Just hand dig it. It's much easier, and especially if you have an older home that has stuff underground. All right, an electrician showed me the trick on how to strip this kind of wire. First, using just an ordinary knife, you score it right where the ground is, and just use a pair of pliers to pull the ground out. And then you take on the inside, let's see, we're going to cut this, just start it right down the middle. And on the inside, you've got one side is the black and one side is the white. But what you do is you lightly score it where it's thin on the inside, just lightly, so that you can separate that. There you can see I got the black started. And there I got the white started. And then he says you just take your knife or your pliers and you just pull. And you just pull. And then you use a pair of dikes or a knife and you cut off the insulation. And that's it. I suck at nailing. All right, what I did here is I ran a 12-3 wire. 3 conductor means it has white, black, and red. So that third conductor is for the switched line, and that's going to come up here. I'm going to put an outlet in here and split the outlet so that half of it controls the lights. And the other half will be on all the time. And then also from here, I can wire other outlets on the other side. Now for the outlet on the ceiling, I want to switch half of it. In other words, just one of these is going to be controlled by the switch and the other one's going to be on all the time. And that's because I have a network device that's going to plug in here, and the other one is where the lights are going to go. So I only need half of it switched. And the way to do that, if you look at the side, it's got these 2 brass screws, and that's going to be where the hot wires go. And the silver screws are going to be where the neutral wire goes, right? And of course, green is ground. But what I'm going to do is, with these 2 brass screws, they're connected together by this little connecting tab right here, where my screwdriver is. And all you have to do is use needle nose pliers and wiggle that back and forth to remove it. And then they are separated. So here you can look, if you see this one, the tab is gone. So there the tab is here. On this one it's gone. So I broke this one off already, and you can see this is marked with an S. I used this in a project video a couple of years ago, and that's already done for me. I don't need to separate the neutral side because one neutral will work both outlets. Everything's fine that way. All right, so this is ready to get installed, and I'm just going to put the black wire is going to go on the bottom brass screw, the one that's going to be on all the time. The red wire is going to be the switched wire. That's going to be on the top brass screw. And then the neutral is going to be on the silver. And the ground, of course, is going to be on the green. All right, let me show you what I've done here with these two devices. I have pre-wired them in a way. I have the ground wire going from this green screw over to that one and then to a Wago connector, and that's where I will join it with the other two the ground wires. And then I've done the same thing with the black wire. I put a black pigtail under this screw right here, brought it around to that screw, and then from there it goes to a Wago and it'll connect to these black wires. And so those are all going to be hot at the same time. And then this last brass screw is going to be for the red wire, and these two silver screws are going to get the neutrals. Okay, here you can see all three of these wires are securely under this Wago, and you don't have to use Wagos, you can use wire nuts. I just choose to use Wagos because it's easier for me to modify this in the future when I want to run additional outlets down the other end or somewhere else in the shed. The red wire goes under here. Now, one of the things that you'll notice, I didn't need to make hooks for these wires because this is actually considered like a back wire device, and it can support two wires on every screw. They just kind of go in straight behind this, I don't know, a little plate underneath the screw. You can see that there. So that's fine. These are all good, and this is ready to be closed up. All right, so for phase 2 and connecting it to our power, the first thing we want to do is turn off the breaker that controls the circuit that we're tapping into. And that's this one here, labeled fire pit. And it is a 20 amp breaker, even though you can barely see the 20 on it anymore. That is a 20 amp breaker. So that line was trenched all the way from my shed over here. This is where it terminates. This is the other end of that wire. And the reason why I chose this is because it's an existing GFCI outlet. And there's also a switch there for these lights at the fire pit. Okay, so the circuit is off now, and I'm actually going to replace all of this stuff here because you can see it must have leaked at some point and somebody put a whole bunch of caulk and other stuff on it. So I'm gonna actually just replace it. So the screws on the back of the box were so badly rusted I was never going to get them off. So I decided, all right, I'm going to reuse the box, but I will use the new cover. Okay, so this is the wire from the shed. This is the incoming hot wire. And then this is the one that goes to the two lights. And so now I'm just going to wire up the GFCI, and I'm using a new GFCI. And one of the most important things you have to remember about a GFCI is it has to be weather resistant for outside. All right, when wiring a GFCI, one of the most important things to remember is that the black wires are going to go on the brass screws and the white wires are going to go on the silver screws. And you have two sets of terminals. You have the line and you have the load. Line is power coming in, and load is power going out. So I'm going to connect the shed to the load terminals because I want those outlets in the shed protected by this GFCI. Anything downstream of this connected on these terminals will be GFCI protected. Anything connected here will not. Okay, here you can see I have the shed connections to the load terminal, and down the bottom is the line terminal. And I have one black wire on there at the moment, and that goes over to the switch. So that's just the jumper. I have a very short black line wire here that I have to also connect to this screw. And yeah, whoever wired this did not leave me enough wire here. That's very short. But I'm going to connect it as I put this in the box. So that's going to get connected to the line screw down there. Now that jumper comes over to the switch. All right, it comes to this screw on the switch, and then the bottom one is the wire that goes to the lights. And so when the switch is up and it's on, that will connect these two screws, and that's what sends power to the lights. Now for my grounds, I've connected those with a grounding wire connector here. You can see the one wire goes underneath because this is a metal box. It has a green screw and it is connected into that box. You have to mount it, or actually bond it is the term. You have to bond it to the metal box. If it was a plastic box, I wouldn't have to worry about it. And then they come under this grounding wire connector. Now what that does is it's like a wire nut, but it has a hole in the top, and it lets that long wire that I had come all the way out. And so that long wire wraps around this screw and then comes over to the GFCI. So everything is bonded together. All the grounds are bonded together. You don't have to use these. You can just use pigtails and wire nuts or Wago connectors, whatever you want to use. But I choose to use these. I think they're simpler. And I had plenty of ground wire here for me to wire it with. Oh, these two neutrals here, by the way, these are going to go on the line neutral screw down the bottom here too. So they're pretty short. I'm going to do those as I push it in too. So you're not going to be able to see too well after I get it in there. All right, breaker back on. All right, I'm going to use my tester here. And typically new GFCIs are tripped. So you need to press the reset button. And when I press that, you can see there are two green lights, and that's good. That means that I've got a good ground and a good neutral. Everything is wired correctly. And let's just check this switch here. If I turn this on, these lights should go on. A little bit of a delay because they're LED bulbs, but yes, they work. Okay, that's good. Now let's check the shed. All right, back in the shed, here's my tester. I plug that in. I have two green lights. That means it's wired correctly. And furthermore, now I went over and I tripped the GFCI, and you can see the light is out. That means this is a GFCI protected outlet. And so there's one more thing I can do. Now I know it's a GFCI protected outlet, but other people may not. So that's why they include these stickers with it. So now everybody will know that's safe. Alrighty, let's test this. This outlet up here also has two greens. So that's good. Oh, and that one has no lights. Why is that? Because that one's controlled by the switch. If I pop the switch on, then you see it's got two green lights. So it's good. And that's where I'll connect my lights. All right, here you can see I have a couple of shop lights. I bought a 2-pack from Costco, and I installed them up here in that one switched outlet. And the other outlet has that network, that is a device bridge, it's called, from a unified network. And that is a Wi-Fi attached device, but it brings the cable all the way over to the Yarbo data center on the other side that requires an Ethernet connection. So that works great too. I love having electric in the shed now, even before having doors on, because I can plug in my rechargeable tools, my battery charger here. Everything in my yard is electric. I don't do any more gas. So if you have any questions about how to wire a shed, just leave me a comment down below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one, because I promise you, the doors are coming, and the greenhouse is coming. Hey there, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to be the first to know when new videos are posted. Look for HandyDadTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit the website HandyDad.tv for more great ideas and information.